Well, good afternoon, and I'm so excited to be interviewing Lori Ozckus. I first I first met Lori when she came to do professional development in St. Louis, and she also presented for our local ILA. Thank you for that. And later on, she and Tim Rzuski came back to St. Louis and did the ILA convention. It was a standing room only kind of thing. She has been doing for quite a number of years professional development about the Fab Four. She'll explain what that's all about in a minute. She has even she's currently this week or two doing things in Australia and Hawaii. So when I say it's worldwide, I mean it's worldwide. She's reached over 100,000 children. So when I say it's
100,000 teachers.
Yeah. Okay.
More children.
Okay. And her methods get verified results. There'll be some things that she'll be reporting about what a major researcher said about her work and what it's based in. It's the Fab Four, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It is really research-based. What research says is if the kids internalize strategies, reading strategies, the reading gets a lot better in a hurry, and the kids that she's working with are internalizing these strategies, I promise you. It's a low prep, high impact kind of way of doing things. I'm going to let her explain how to do it. This is going to be a headline service, so there's a lot of stuff in my blog, a lot of links that will be in the blog, and the link to the book, which is the key here, will be in the blog. So live with the fact that it's got to be a headline service, but I think it will pique your interest. So here we go. Tell us, I'm going to turn things over to Lori and let her get started.
Hey, Sam, thank you so much for inviting me to your show. I feel like I'm on Jimmy Fallon or something, this is really great. You have quite a following, and I love the work that you're doing and the people that you're interviewing, and it's just great that you're putting all this wonderful information out there for teachers, and they're busy people right now. So this is great. Thank you. So I'm Lori Ozckus, and I am a literacy consultant and author, and I do workshops and webinars, both online and now live again, all over the world. And my specialty, I have lots of different topics. I've written 8 books, but my specialty is comprehension. And the book that I'll be talking about today, that is our 3rd edition of Reciprocal Teaching at Work. And Sam, you said you have all 3 editions.
I do. I'm a pack rat, and my wife hates me for it.
Yours are all pack rats, trust me. But this is the 3rd edition, and the reason why I keep writing more editions, we started the first one in 2002, the next one in 2010, and this one in 2018. Is that I am constantly working with school districts and teachers and adding to the information that you're going to see today. So I guess we should start with, how I got started with reciprocal teaching. Does that make sense?
Oh, sure.
So it piqued my interest because I was teaching in the bilingual classroom. I taught intermediate and primary. I had gone from primary to intermediate and noticed that the kids, their comprehension was terrible, and that they were reading 2 years below grade level in 5th grade. So I decided to try reciprocal teaching and love the way that it engaged the students. And then when I became a literacy consultant, I also had the opportunity to coach teachers in reciprocal teaching and to use it, and really loved the way that it engaged students and the way that we got results quickly. So I nicknamed it the Fab Four. That's the first thing I'll show you, Sam. So go like this, the Fab Four. Now there's a teacher, the Fab Four, that's right. And what are the Fab Four? The Fab Four, I nicknamed them that, not because, well, sort of after that famous rock band, right? But the reason why I did that is that the rock band that I'm talking about, the Beatles, were their best, right, when they were all together. So they each had their own separate rock career, but when they were all together, they were really the best. So that's what we say about these 4 reading strategies, the Fab Four, that are really the salient, like we had to boil it down to sort of brass tacks in reading. We predict every time we read. We clarify words and ideas that we don't understand when we read. We ask questions. I wonder wonder about this, I wonder about that, and I want to talk about this and that. And then summarizing. We do that every time we read. So every time we read, we do this, right? And the research shows that these are really salient strategies, the Fab Four. So that's what the Fab Four strategies look like. And I'll just show you a couple of slides that will help with the Fab Four. Whoops, I want this one. There we go. So I like to call it the Fab Four, again, because they need to be a package. They're kind of like, think of them like a reading vitamin. And I tell the kids that too. I depict them in a circle. This is a circle dial from my book. And I'll say, you know what, we're going to do all four in this lesson today. We're going to read this article from our Scholastic News, or we're going to read a chapter in The Giver. It can be used K-12, or we're going to do a read aloud with kindergartners, and we're going to use the Fab Four. So really it spans the grade levels. And that's kind of amazing, Sam, right? Because we can use it in every grade level.
And I've taught a lot of primary and a little intermediate and secondary, and used it all across, and I promise you it works. Well, yeah, I'm preaching to the choir. Okay.
It's engaging, and that's what's fun. So the book that we're talking about today is the Reciprocal Teaching, which is published by ASCD and also ILA. And then I also have a series that we've done with your friend Tim Rosinski that is one for every grade level, and it's a book that has passages that are paired. So you'll have an informational text using the Fab Four, and then you'll turn around and you'll do a poem using the Fab Four. And I'm going to show an example of that in this presentation. And also in the links, there'll be some free samples of that to try with your students. And Sam, I just want to say that for anyone who's worried about their students being behind in reading and trying to accelerate learning right now, this is a really great strategy to start right this moment and use it till the end of the school year, or even in summer school. So you don't have to wait till fall to try it, and read all about it. You can just jump in and try. So I do want to say that everything I'm sharing with you, I'm constantly adding to. So if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see examples of lessons. The one on the left is one from a school that I'm working with in Australia. I'll be there again Monday, virtually, of course. But I am a robot, telepresence robot, just like the one that Sheldon was on Big Bang. If you've seen that. So it's basically an iPad on this little maneuverable robot that I can maneuver right from my desktop. So I can move around the classroom and teach lessons. So
that is some next generation stuff. Wow.
Yeah, it's really great. It's called a telepresence robot. So the problems with comprehension, the reason why we need something like reciprocal teaching is that whether kids are young or old, little kids and big kids, decode but don't comprehend. They don't remember what they read. And comprehension, I get that complaint quite a bit from parents and teachers, that this is what students are having trouble with. And then they become uninterested and they're not engaged. And then they're 2 years below grade level, some kids, and they find informational text challenging and they have trouble. They don't have strategies for decoding words or for finding main ideas and summarizing. So what reciprocal teaching will do is take care of all of those types of problems that students might have. And we all know teachers are tired, Sam. You were telling me about your daughter.
Yeah, well, she's is doing math, and right now they've gone from all virtual to virtual and in person, and basically for her it's like double or triple the prep. It's just meeting yourself, coming and going. It's a lot of work. I think your picture depicts it perfectly.
It is. And throughout the pandemic, normally what I do when school is in session and we're not having a pandemic, I'm in schools every month working with students on a regular basis in some of my project schools. This year I have Ohio, California, and Australia. But I also will go in and just do, if a school district invites me, I'll just do a one-time workshop. But I've been doing it virtually, and we've been doing our lessons with Fab Four virtually and getting results that way as well. So all through the pandemic, we've been doing it. So what is reciprocal teaching? The definition of the Fab Four that I'm going to give you today is from the book, and it is a scaffolded or supported discussion technique that incorporates four main strategies. And you already know those: predict, question, clarify, and summarize. So all four have to be in the same lesson in order to get results. So it's kind of like the Beatles band. We're keeping the band together during our lessons. And it's really a great way to have a discussion. So it's a protocol for discussion. And that's why there's not a lot of prep. I can just pick up any picture book that I want, and I can quickly predict with it and then read 2 pages and stop and ask questions and then stop and clarify some words, read 2 more pages. Oh, what have we read so far? And summarize and so forth. So I love to do it with read alouds. We can do it with chapter books. You're The Giver. I'm always reading The Giver wherever I go for some reason. We land on The Giver. Guess what we're reading in 6th grade? The Giver. So we'll take the chapter, put kids in teams, and again, it's all about discussion, the talk that takes place, and it's reciprocal because we're taking turns. I take a turn making a prediction. I have the teams at their tables make a prediction for the giver. Then I'm going to model a question on a couple pages in the chapter, and then the students are going to do the same in their teams. So there's a reciprocal back and forth, my turn, your turn, protocol going on, and it makes it really wonderful because the students, you can bump up the learning with the modeling, and the cooperative learning is what really makes it work. And it doesn't have to be a big fat cooperative learning training. It can be just partners turning and talking to one another if you want to start that way. So an example that I will give you is from the Close Reading with Paired Text series that Dr. Ozckus and I put together. This In the Desert also has a companion article about the desert, which I did not include in this, but I will include in your link so that you can have a copy of it, both the poem and the informational text. But what we would first do is have our kids skim and say, what do you think this poem's about? We're going to use the title, In the Desert, and the pictures. And we're also going to skim and scan with our fingers like this and skim down and just kind of look at words, banded geckos, lizards, darting moonbeams. And then we're going to say what we think we're going to learn. I think I'm going to learn about night and day in the desert. And then I have the students turn to their partners, and it's their turn to talk about what they think they will learn. Why do you think the author wrote this? We can talk about author's purpose. Then during reading, we can read it again and again for different purposes. So if it's the Fab Four, we already predicted. Now what do we need to do? Now we need to question. We need to ask questions. I'm going to ask, why do the geckos run? Why do the lizards dart? They turn to their partners and they make up a question to ask one another about the text. Clarifying words. We all know that students really don't want to admit they don't know words, right, Sam?
Oh, absolutely. Especially, yeah. But I think you've got a trick about that, don't you?
I do. I never say to students, are there any words to clarify? Because they go, no, we're good. We're good. We're okay. Don't say that to little kids or big kids, because they'll say no. So instead I say, find 3 words that would be tricky for a younger child. And they always go, oh, they would never get darting. They would never get that word. Or cast. Oh, they would not have a clue what that means. So the students are great about picking out words for a younger child. I had an 8th grade teacher. He put on Twitter, he's used the book and been to some of my workshops, and he said, my 8th graders buy into this. We call it the little kid trick. So that's a great way to do it. Also for clarify, we say, I didn't get the word, so we don't lead our clarifying with a question, like, what does this word mean? Or else the students mix it up with questioning, and we try to keep them as 2 nice separate steps. Then summarizing, of course, is everyone's favorite. It's hard, right? So we might ask kids to pick their favorite stanza. My favorite stanza is Banded Geckos on the Run. You can't choose my favorite. What's your favorite, Sam?
Sunlight sizzles all around.
Then you have the students each sketch their favorite, and then tables of 4 will put their favorites in order on sticky notes, 4 sticky notes in a row, in order of the text. So it's a great way. Favorites are a great way to summarize. Then we also might have kids hold up their fingers and talk about, can you do a 10-word summary of the whole poem? You've got to keep rereading to do that. So what we provide in the book are lots of ideas to give you different sort of a menu for each of the Fab Four, so that you can vary the lessons, what you're doing with predict and what you're doing with summarize and so forth as you go through it. So here we are in Australia doing the lesson, myself and the teachers together. We collaboratively planned it. When I work in schools, we do a lot of collaborative planning and then co-teaching, or I will teach a demonstration. And as you said, it's a high impact, low prep strategy. Once your kids know the language, what happens, Sam?
Well, what happens is, the researcher in me says what happens is they internalize the 4 strategies, and for the teacher, because you're taking them through these 4 steps multiple times, the preparation is very easy. but the kids internalize the strategies and get the results that you're talking about. So
Exactly.
I mean, win-win.
It is a win-win. And just 2 slides here, 2 very quick notes that are super important to know about the research and why you should try it, because it'll work. Pallingscar and Brown in the 1980s came up with reciprocal teaching, the 4 strategies, and the fact that you take turns, that the teacher takes a turn and that the students work cooperatively. So they're the ones that really uncovered this protocol for us and started the whole ball of wax. And students grow in just, their students grew in just 15 days. They went from not proficient at all to proficient and higher on the exam, the test that they were giving the students. And since then, hundreds of studies have been done and thousands of children have been documented their growth. And Dr. John Hattie, who wrote the foreword to this book, did a study, of course, where, he looked at the meta-analysis of a bunch of different studies, and he takes 131 different practices that we do, and reciprocal teaching falls in the top 9, which is pretty amazing. It's a top 10 of Hattie's strategies that actually work to get results. And the effect size is 0.74, which is just a hair under 2 years growth in 1 year, which is pretty amazing. And the stories I like to tell, my favorite one are my 4th graders in Berkeley who went from 2nd grade in November. We did it every day during class and 3 days a week after school in a small group intervention. And from November to February, they went from 2nd grade reading level to 4th grade reading level. Another favorite story are the 7th graders who in March, 13 of them were reading 2 or more years below grade level. And by June, they progressed and were reading either on grade level or near grade level, but all of them grew a full 2 years. So the 0.74 actually, you can get those results more quickly if you give kids a dose in small group in addition to whole class. So it really does work. And again, it works with, here's an article from the series Tim and I did, and then there's a companion piece where we do the Fab Four. Again, predict, question, clarify, and summarize with a poem. So the kids enjoy it and they start to internalize and get the pattern. We also make lots of charts. And I'm constantly giving you more examples of those on Twitter, but here's an easy one to figure out. You can see that we use sticky notes, different colors for each of the 4 strategies. So we make lots of little charts like this, and the book has examples of those. If you're working small group, you can make a small chart and just put it on the table, and students can contribute to the conversation and put their words to clarify on sticky notes and their questions to ask. And then we had a ball with Jamboard. Check this out, Sam. This is during the pandemic, and in Ohio at one of my schools, look what we did. We did different colored sticky notes. The kids can see it during the discussion on their screens. They can add their comments. It makes a really lively way to have a written discussion and a verbal discussion. And then, of course, we have our little foldable that I know you've enjoyed doing over the years. And this is in the ideas in the book, and there's even a pattern for one in the book with our icons on it from the 4 strategies, but you can also just go like this and make a quick 4-door and have students put their responses and then bring it to their partner and talk to their partner about, what's your prediction? Here's mine. What's your question? Here's mine. Or they can work in teams. So it's a great way to do it.
Okay,
really
endorsement for your methods here is what Lori is doing here, folks, is giving you a whole lot of different ideas about how to get these 4 different things into a varied number of lessons, but it's the same 4 things each time. So at the end of the day, the kids are going to be able to do these 4 things, which is what, and because they know these strategies, that's why there's a huge impact. So what she's doing here, and if you use her materials, then you can click right on to the blog and to her website and get the materials you need. You can get really quick results. The kids won't be bored, and they're learning the 4 of the most important strategies there are. So
well, and the book has lots of supports in it. We have bookmarks and roll cards and all kinds of goodies that will help students. And then also the book comes with a study guide for teachers so that you can work through it as a staff or an individual. And then I also have a video that I think I told you this before, Sam, but it's kind of exciting, but ASCD sent a film crew, and every single person on the film crew that came to my schools to tape was on some kind of Discovery Channel or cop show or
Wow.
TV people, and they came into the real world.
The pros. You had
second grade with a camera in fifth grade. But we went into 3 Title I schools, and so that is all featured on the video, and you can watch it once or you can watch it more times. They've got all kinds of really great affordable options for that. And I have free videos links I'll send you as well. The discussions, you can put kids in teams. These are 7th graders. Somebody's a clarifier, somebody's a questioner, and so forth. They each take a job of the 4 strategies and work their way through a text together. And here's students at a whole table. This table is a table of clarifiers, a table of predictors, a table of questioners. So you can even break it up that way. There are many ways to do it, and it's a lot of fun. I also have characters and props and gestures, which are scaffolds that I came up with a long time ago, long about the first edition, but we've added to them, and teachers have added many exciting ideas to them as well. There's Paula Predictor, who is a fortune teller, and you can have a prop like Sam has, which is his crystal ball. You can have, and Paula the Predictor makes her predictions. And by the way, in the book, we have a picture of her that was done by one of my teachers in 5th grade in Los Angeles. And in Monrovia, she came up with the characters. And here I came up with the characters and she came up with the drawings. Lindsay Marcos did these fabulous drawings, and you could put them on your wall if you want and label them, or you can actually dress up like the characters, like the teachers in London did, which is pretty great. They wore scarves on their head, and they were like this. You put this on your head and you're the fortune teller. You rub your crystal ball. Quincy questioner is an easy one. You just get out a microphone and go, okay, I'm on a game show. I'm going to see if they're paying attention.
You never want to flip Bomarita get on the microphone. You'll never hear that.
Yeah, there you go. And then there's Claire.
By the way, even the older kids love this prop. Older kids love this prop.
And then, of course, Claire Clarifier has giant glasses, and she clarifies words she doesn't understand. And she has different gestures she uses to do that. She pauses on words and karate chops them and rewinds and fast forwards and wears her glasses. And then Sammy Summarizer, he's great. He summarizes the main idea, sums it up like this, big old summary or a little summary. And we've got lots of different cool tools for that as well. So if that's your teaching style and you want to add to it, great. I also have puppets. Now you can turn the ones in the book into puppets like this. We did that during the pandemic, just on popsicle sticks, or I have an actual puppet kit, which I'm going to get out right now. I have 4 puppets. Paula has a crystal ball that she rubs. You can see that. And it's very, very cute. She's one of my favorites to do because look, you get to.
Okay. And
so
for really teachers of older kids, even the older kids like the rolls. Yeah. And the younger kids eat the puppet things and all that up like a stick. And the key is it draws them into learn the strategy.
It does. When Nell Duke saw me do this, and we were both doing keynotes, and she saw me do it, she said, "You're cueing the strategies." And then she had me call Kathy Collins block, and I ended up writing a book for Scholastic about all the reading strategies. But I cited the research that Kathy Collins block had on using gestures for comprehension, which, if you think about it, we've used gestures and characters for the alphabet for years. So to do it for comprehension is just a great way to teach. It's a non-linguistic representation, as Marzano would call it. And there's my friend, Carol Eisenbeis, using the puppets during the pandemic, and then some of the props you can use. There's a teacher doing the Fab Four with her chart, her Fab Four chart, so that they do all 4 and record something in all 4 boxes during the guided reading lesson. And there's a teacher using it in London with what? Shakespeare. Wow, doing Foldable.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So all ages can do this, and all ages can whip through a lesson. So that's it. I think we're just about out of time, and I want to thank you for having me. And I'll have goodies for people. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can pick up on some of these extra goodies that I'm talking about.
Okay, all these resources that she's giving us for free will be on the blog. I'll remind you folks that the blog is coming out soon enough where you could take this free stuff that she's giving you and do something in the last few weeks of school and get some results rather than, so wow, we really have to thank you for that. And I think we can tell you're a teacher's teacher, and you know the research, you know the researchers. Okay, and this is just a marvelous, marvelous thing. And folks, you really need to have a look at the book, have a look at some of the resources that she's going to be giving us on the blog, and of course, your own places out there in cyberspace. Okay, wow. So it's been amazing. Could this mean that we're actually done?
I think we're all done.
Okay, in that case, we traditionally these things, oh, you already know, we end with a Zoom wave. So we're going to do the Zoom wave right now. Goodbye, everybody. And I'm going to be very careful to hit my stop recording. And that's it for today. And bye.